If you're excited and ready to change, let me give you 3 steps to start a life change that can transform your personality, your lifestyle, everything. Here are the steps. 1. Find out how things work. The first key to doing better is to find out. To change your life, you really need ideas. There isn't anything an idea can't change. Mr. Shoff taught me that the major problem is not a problem itself, but the lack of an idea. At first, I didn't have any money. I said to Mr. Shoff, "I don't have any money." He said, "That's not a problem." Up until then, I always thought it was. I was confused. He said, No. The problem is the lack of an idea on how to create money and wealth. It isn't a lack of money, it's a lack of ideas. So, if you get the ideas, you can change anything. To get ideas, you need a constant study of finding out. Mr. Shoff also said, when you find out something that works, put the information in your journal. Don't use your head for a filing cabinet. Put it in your journal so that you can do the next best thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Go over it, and if you repeat it enough, sure enough, someday, some mysterious day, the idea takes root, starts to grow, and shows up in your bank account, your dress, your personality, and your lifestyle. But capture the ideas in your journal. Find out how things work. 2. Study. Mr. Shoff gave me this word for my life change. He said, study. Great word. If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. If you wish to be wealthy, study wealth. Don't leave it to chance. Make it a study. Some people just go through the day with their fingers crossed. See, that won't do it. You've got to study the things that can change your economic, social, spiritual, and personal life. Well, you may not be able to do all you find out. I understand that. You may not be able to do all you find out, but you should find out all you can do. See, you don't want to wind up at the end of your life and discover that you've lived only 1/10 of it, and the other 9/10 went down the drain, not for lack of opportunity, but for lack of information. So that's number 1, find out how things work. And here's the last one, also the best human virtue for finding out, curiosity. Be curious. You might add a word to it that will help: childish curiosity. What will kids do if they want to know something bad enough? Bug you. That's the phrase. They can ask 1,000 questions. You think they're through, but they have another 1,000. They'll drive you to the brink. It's a virtue when you've got to know. Be like a child. In fact, Jesus, the master teacher, said, unless you can become like little children, you might as well forget it. You don't have a prayer. Excellent advice. You've got to be like children in 4 ways, in my opinion. Number 1 is curiosity. Number 2 is excitement. Get excited like a child over your ability to make yourself do anything for change. 3rd is faith. Have faith like a child. Adults are too skeptical. And 4th is trust. Trust is a childish virtue, but the rewards are incredible, so be like a child. Now, if you're curious, let me give you 3 ways to find out how to change any life direction, any dimension. Here's 3 ways to find out how to change anything. Number 1 is to read. Become a good reader. All of the successful people I know and work with around the world are good readers. Curiosity drives them to read. They have to know, so they just read. Become a good reader. Don't be a follower, be a student. For life change, you have to read. One way to learn is from your own experiences, but another way to learn is from other people's experiences. See, one book might save you 5 years if you read it. Did you know there are books on how to be stronger, more decisive, be a speaker, be a leader, have a better effect on other people, and develop your personality? Did you know there are books on all that, and yet people don't read them? How would you explain that? And they can read. Hundreds of successful people have written their stories in books detailing how they did it, and people don't read them. How would you explain that? The guy's busy, I guess. You know, you get tied up. The guy says, well, yeah, you work where I work. By the time you struggle home, it's late. You got to eat, bite of supper, watch a little TV, get to bed. You can't sit up half the night reading. And the guy's behind on his car payment. Good worker, hard worker, sincere. But you have to be better than sincere and work hard. Otherwise, at the end of your life, you'll wind up cold, stony broke. You have to be better than a good worker. You have to be a good reader. The whole world is governed by laws, the universe, in fact. There are laws of electricity, laws of gravity, mathematical laws, physical laws, speed and velocity laws, agricultural laws, all kinds of laws. Now that we find ourselves on this spinning planet, we just have to learn what I call the setup. Learn the setup of life. Now, we didn't set it up, but we're here, so we have to learn it. We should learn the setup for two basic reasons. Number one, to keep from getting hurt. It's one of the major reasons for learning, so you won't get hurt. Economically, socially, personally, you can get hurt just by not knowing. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is poverty. Ignorance is tragedy. You have to know or you're going to get hurt. It's good to know not to walk out a 10th-story window. That's excellent information. Now, what if a guy didn't know and he walks out? Now he's dead at the bottom. Somebody says, well, the poor guy didn't know. You have to know or you're going to get hurt. Here's a parenthesis. You don't have to like the setup. I don't ask you to like how it is. That's not what's important. But it is important to learn how it is. So you don't have to like it, but you should learn it. That's what I tell the kids. Make sure you get the information. What you think about it is up to you. What you're going to do with it will soon be up to you, but make sure you get it. There's nothing worse than being stupid. Nothing. Being broke is bad, but being stupid is awful. And what's really bad is being broke and stupid. That's about the end of the world. There isn't anything much worse than that unless you're sick, broke, and stupid. That's it. There's nowhere else to go, so make sure you get the information. It's key. You don't have to like it, but learn it. If this big monstrous thing lifts up in the sky, hangs there for a little while, then crashes down, boom, shaking the ground for 5 miles, and it keeps doing that, you might come along one day and say, that's got to be a stupid arrangement, which is okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But the first thing you should learn to do is get out from under it. That's number one. You might have a great moral argument. You might want to shake your finger at the sky, but do it from over there so you don't get smashed. It's called basic smarts. So, number one, learn so you won't get hurt. Whether you like it or not, learn. Now here's the second reason for learning the setup. To benefit. It's called the plus of life. Life is both minus and plus. The minus is tragedy, heartache, misery, failure, and unhappiness. But life is also happiness, prosperity, and good feelings. So here's the key. Learn to get on the good side of the way things work. Now here are two of the basic laws. Mr. Showoff taught me these. They come from the Bible. The first one is the law of use. It goes something like this. Whatever you don't use, you lose. Lack of use causes loss on this planet. Maybe not the next one, but on this one, if you tie your arm to your body and leave it there long enough, you'll never use it again. It's over for the arm. The only way to keep the use of this arm is to keep using it. If you quit, you lose automatically. They don't bring it up for a vote. You lose automatically when you quit. The same thing goes for your brain, your mentality, and all the human virtues. Ambition unused declines. Strong feelings unused diminish. They don't grow, they diminish. Faith unused decreases. It's a law. Vitality unused diminishes. Energy unused decreases. The guy says, well, I'm going to save up my energy. You can't do that. That's like trying to save today and put it at the end of the year. You can't do that. They'll come take you away. If you don't use today, it's lost. The guy says, well, I'll work twice as hard tomorrow to make up for it. That's foolish. You could have done that anyway. Today, unused is lost. A talent unused is lost. An ability unused is lost. So here's one of the key expressions of the evening. Take a new inventory of yourself starting tomorrow. New project. Take a new inventory and make sure that all of your talent, ability, mentality, ingenuity, vitality, strong feelings, faith, and courage are being used. Otherwise, you lose. One of the best illustrations of the law of use is a Bible story called the Parable of the Talents. It's an interesting story. If you haven't read it in a while, review it. It's a good story, an ancient story. It says there was a master with 3 servants. He got them together one day and said to the 3, I've got these talents. And in those ancient days, a talent was a measure of gold. He said to the 3 servants, take these talents and see what you can do with them while I'm gone. I'm taking a journey and I'll be gone for a while. When I come back, we'll get together, go over the books, and see how you did. Here are 5 talents for you. Here are 2 for you, and here is 1 for you. The master said, take those talents and see what you can do with them. When I come back, we'll get together and go over it all. The servants agreed and the master left. According to the ancient story, the master returned from his trip. He gathered the 3 servants and, as he had promised, asked, how did it go with those talents? To the servant with 5 talents, he asked, what happened? The servant replied, I took the 5 talents you gave me and put them to work. It was a little shaky at first, but things finally got rolling. I poured it on and my talents grew to 7, 8, 9, 10. I doubled my talents from 5 to 10. The master said, one heck of a job, or something like that. To the servant with 2 talents, he asked, what happened? The servant replied, about the same thing happened to me. I put those 2 talents to work, poured it on, and they grew to 3 and then to 4. I doubled my talents from 2 to 4. The master said, well done. To the servant with 1 talent, he asked, what happened? The servant replied, I took the talent you gave me, carefully wrapped it, dug a hole, and buried it. I camouflaged it so nobody would steal it. Fortunately, nobody got it. I knew you were going to be here today, so I dug it up. Here it is, safely wrapped. I did not lose it while you were gone. According to the ancient story, the master said, take that talent away from him and give it to the man who has 10. Now you might say, well, I don't like that arrangement. The poor guy only had 1 talent and the other guy already has 10. It ought to be more even. Remember, I didn't ask you to like it, but this is one I would ask you to learn because it simply means whatever you do not employ, you forfeit. It's a law. So learn well the law of use. Now here's the second law, and then we're going to take our break. This second law from the Bible is one we've heard since we were small. It's called the law of sowing and reaping. In fact, we probably heard it so often we could quote it. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. Fairly blunt, hopefully clear. Here's my first suggestion on the law of sowing and reaping. Don't try to beat it. You might as well try sitting on the sun in the morning to keep it from coming up. You'll have better luck. Whatever you sow, you reap. For a fair share of my life, I was a bit mixed up about how all this applies. Among a lot of things I was mixed up on, I knew I wasn't reaping too well. That much I understood. My problem was I was confused about what was causing it. Remember me with a funny list? I thought those were the reasons why it wasn't working out well. Then Mr. Schoff gave me the clue that helped me figure it all out. He said, Mr. Rohn, I have another answer for you. There's another way to quote this law that will show you where the problem is so you can go to work on it right away. All you need to know is where the problem is, then you can go to work on it. So he quoted me the law another way, and I found out what my problem was. Here's the way you quote the law. Whatever you reap is what you've sown. Now I knew what my problem was. Whatever you reap is what you've sown. If you don't like the crop, who do you look up? Answer, whoever planted it. And where do you find who planted your crop? Answer, in the mirror. What I finally learned to do come fall was to go to the mirror. That's where you go. And if necessary, you say, a few skinny carrots, I got to be unimpressed. Where were you last spring? Asleep? Didn't you read the books? Did you break your hoe? Let me give you 7 key points to the law of sowing and reaping. Let's tick right down through the list of 7, and then it'll be break time. 7 points to sowing and reaping. Here's part of the philosophy that really helped me to make some changes in life direction. Number 1, the law of sowing and reaping is negative. That's number 1, which simply means if you sow bad, you reap bad. Now this is kind of 3rd grade, but it doesn't hurt to go over the basics. If you plant thistle seeds, you don't get pumpkins. Honest. No use looking for pumpkins. John says, how come no pumpkins? Come on, John, the law is negative. That's how come. Number 2, the law is positive. This simply means if you sow good, you reap good. If you plant pumpkin seeds, you don't get thistles, not from pumpkin seeds. Mother Nature won't pull tricks on you, snicker in the corner, and push out thistles when you plant pumpkin seeds. She won't do that. You will get pumpkins from pumpkin seeds because the law is positive. Number 3, you reap much more than what you sow. I got excited when I found out the full dimension of this. You do not reap what you sow. Rather, you always reap much more than what you sow. So the 3rd key word is more. You don't get back what you put out. You get back much more than what you put out, and it works both positively and negatively. On the negative side, it is said, if you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. So you have to get ready for that, or you will be naive. Anybody can do this. The question is, will you or not? Here's a good question to ask. We are all buying somebody's plan. The question is whose? Who's got you talked into doing what you're doing? Who's got you talked into your present plan? See, 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The question is where. But anybody, if you want to, can go searching for a good plan, pick it, and start working it. And sure enough, as time passes, as it surely will, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll be winding up wearing what you want to wear, driving what you want to drive, living where you want to live, and becoming what you want to become. But now's the time to fix the next 10 years. And who can? Anybody. Number 4, you reap more than what you sow. This is both positive and negative. If you sow good things, you will reap more good things. If you sow bad things, you will reap more bad things. The key is to understand that your efforts will yield a multiplied return, for better or worse. Number 5, you reap later than you sow. The 5th key is that you reap later than you sow. This means there's always a period of waiting between planting the seed and harvesting the crop. The key is to be patient and consistent in your efforts. Number 6, you could lose. The 6th key to sowing and reaping is leveling with you now, as we promised to do. There's one thing better than the truth, and that's the whole truth. Here's part of the whole truth of the law of sowing and reaping. You could lose. There are times when you just lose, no matter what you do. It's that kind of planet. You reap what you sow, yes, but what does that mean? Yes, but well, the farmer plants his crop in the spring, takes care of it all summer, loves his family, works 10, 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, and is an honorable man. Come fall, he's got a beautiful crop, and he deserves every bit of it. But the day before he sends the combines into the field, a hailstorm comes along and beats it all into the ground, which means you lose. Somebody says, well, what did he do wrong? Answer, nothing. It's just that kind of planet. Sometimes it's going to hail on your crop and rain on your parade, so you have to get ready for that or you will be naive. That's just part of the life arrangement. And don't press me why. I was not in on some of the original decisions here, so I don't know how it got set up. But there are times you just lose. That's part of life. Number 7, if you don't sow, you don't reap. The 7th key to sowing and reaping goes like this. If you don't sow, you don't reap. That's just another way to quote the law. If you don't sow, you don't reap. You don't even have a chance. So if you look at your game plan tomorrow, you might come to the quick conclusion, I've got to get some sowing going. How true? Get some sowing going. And remember, you've got plenty of time. You've got all the time there is. Some people spend enough TV time to make a fortune. According to the latest article on television watching in this country, the average television is on in every household for 7 hours a day, called the Big 7. I asked a guy one time what his TV cost. He said about $450. I said, you forgot to look at the price tag. He said, what do you mean? I knew he was a TV watcher. I said, that television costs you, in my opinion, at least $12,000 a year to watch it, not to own it. Owning it's cheap. Watching it is what's expensive. And I said, hey, $12,000 a year is too much to pay to watch TV. That's too much. Pay a little, but not $12,000. And he's the guy that said, I hope pay TV never comes. Okay, we're trying to cover an awful lot tonight. I realize that. But my time schedule is such that we just have to sort of give it all to you and let you sort the rest out. I wish we had plenty of time for questions and answers and that whole thing, but our time is just limited. But we are trying to go through an awful lot, I realize that. But it looks like everybody's getting it. This is about the note-takingest crowd I've seen in a long time. Incredible. Does anybody have 5 pages yet? Anybody? Oh, fantastic. Incredible. Maybe you heard the story about the preacher down in Texas, southern part of the country. He was an evangelist back in the horse and buggy days, and he was very good at being an evangelist. A lot of people used to come and hear him preach. One day he put up his tent in one of these Texas towns and expected a big crowd as usual to come and hear him preach. He got there the first night of the tent revival, walked in at 7:30, time to start, and to his surprise, the tent was empty. He thought, well, something must be drastically wrong. So he waited till 7:45. Nobody showed up. 8 o'clock, zip. Finally, at 8:15, one lone cowboy wandered up on his horse, tied his horse up outside, came in, sat down on the front bench, and waited for something to happen. The preacher thought, well, at least I better go down and talk to the cowboy. So he walked down, talked to the cowboy, and said, Cowboy, I'm the preacher. I don't know what to tell you. Something's gone wrong. This tent was supposed to be full of people. I'm embarrassed. You're the only one that showed up, and I really don't know what to do. The cowboy said, well, I'm not a preacher, so I really can't tell you what to do. You know, I'm just a cowboy. But I know this. if I went out to feed my cattle and only one showed up, I'd at least feed it. The preacher thought, hey, the cowboy's right. If you've got a good idea to share, you should share it if there's 1 or 1,000. So he got kind of inspired by this conversation, jumped up on the platform and started to preach as if the tent was full of people. He just exploded and went for an hour and 15 minutes. Just kept rolling. Finally, he quit. When he finished, he came down off the platform, talked to the cowboy again and said, well, cowboy, what did you think of my sermon? The cowboy said, well, I'm not a preacher, so I really can't tell you. I'm just a cowboy. But I know this. If I went out to feed my cattle and only one showed up, I'd feed it. But I wouldn't dump the whole load on it. So anyway, if it seems like we're dumping the whole load tonight, I guess we are. But gosh, everybody's doing well. I'm having a good time. I appreciate the response here tonight. Let me show you what turned my life every which way but loose. Mr. Shoaf dropped this idea on me and changed me completely. Setting goals. Here's what can easily happen if you don't set goals. It's easy to let life deteriorate into making a living instead of designing a life. We all have a choice. Make a living or design a life. It's easy to get trapped by economic necessity and settle for existence rather than substance. That's easy. But the best advice I can give you on how to break out of that trap is to learn how to set goals. Mr. Shoaf put it to me this way. He said, Jim, if you had enough reasons, you could do the most incredible things. I never forgot how he put that. If you have enough reasons. See, reasons will change your whole life. Mr. Shoaf said to me, Mr. Rohn, I think you've got plenty of intelligence, plenty of talent, and plenty of ability. Probably what you lack is plenty of reasons. He said, I don't think your current bank balance is a true indication of your level of intelligence. I was happy to hear that. He said, I think you're much smarter than your present bank balance indicates. And that turned out to be true. I was much smarter. But of course, my first question was, well then, why isn't it bigger? And he said, you don't have enough reasons. You've got enough intelligence, but not enough reasons. So see, reasons can change your life. Change. Here's what else I found out. Reasons come first. Answers come second. You don't get the answers to do well until you get the reasons. Life has a mysterious way of holding on to all the answers and only gives them up to the people who are inspired by reasons. So reasons make the difference in how your life works out. Now, what are some of the reasons for doing well? Let's go through a quick list called Reasons for Doing Well. Personal reasons. Some people do well for recognition, some for respect, and some for the way it makes them feel. They love the feeling of being a winner, and those are good reasons. I have some millionaire friends who keep working 10 to 12 hours a day making more millions. It's not because they need the money. It's because they need the joy, satisfaction, and pleasure that come from being a constant winner. It's not just about the money anyway, it's about the journey. Once in a while someone says to me, boy, if I had $1 million, I'd never work another day in my life. That's probably why the good Lord sees to it they don't get their million, right? They'd quit. Family reasons. Some people do extremely well for other people, and that's powerful. Human beings can greatly affect each other. Sometimes we will do things for somebody else that we wouldn't do for ourselves. We are made that way. I met a man once who said, Mr. Rohn, to do all the things I want to do with my family around the world, I've got to have at least $250,000 a year. I thought, incredible. Could a guy's family affect him that much? And the answer is, of course. How fortunate are the people who find themselves greatly affected by somebody for personal achievement. We are affected. The writer of a recent song said, if not for you, the winter would hold no spring, couldn't hear a robin sing, I just wouldn't have a clue if not for you. So we can be affected. That might be one of the most stimulating reasons to do well, finding somebody. When Andrew Carnegie died, the wee little Scotsman who built the big steel industry, they opened up his desk and found a slip of paper. On that piece of paper, Mr. Carnegie had written his goal for his life when he was in his 20s. It said, I'm going to spend the first half of my life accumulating money, and I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. What a goal. He got so inspired by that goal that in the first half of his life he accumulated $450 million, and in the last half of his life he gave it all away. Good question tonight. What's got you turned on? What's got you so excited to get up early, stay up late, and hit it all day? Next question, what's got you turned off? When I found the answers to those two questions, my life exploded into change. I finally found out what had me turned off, and I got that cured. Then I got myself a long enough list of reasons to turn me on. Once the lights went on for me at age 25, they've never gone out. I've fallen out of the sky a few times, but I've never lost that drive to make something unique out of my life. See, reasons altered my whole life. Nitty-gritty reasons. Sometimes those little reasons are the most powerful reasons that can change your life. Sometimes it doesn't take much. I now carry several $100s in my money clip. It's only a few hundred, but it was one of those reasons that turned my life around. Just before I met Mr. Schaff, I heard a knock at the door. I went to the door, and there was a little girl standing there, about this tall, selling Girl Scout cookies. She gave me one of the finest sales presentations I've ever heard. Special deal, several flavors, this whole package of stuff for $1.02. With a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. And I wanted to. Big problem. I was broke. I didn't have $2, and to this day I can remember the pain and embarrassment. I'm a father, a husband, I've been to college, I'm working, I'm 25, and I don't have $2. I didn't want to tell her that, so I did what I thought was the next best thing. I lied. I said, look, I've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies, I've still got plenty stacked in the house, which was not true, but it seemed to get me off the hook for the moment. She said, well, gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, and she went away. When she left, I closed the door, and that was the day I said to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I've had it with lying and being broke. I'm never going to let this happen to me ever again. I promised that day I would work as hard as possible and always carry plenty. It took me a little while, but now I do. It was one of those reasons, and I guess I carry plenty for two reasons. One is the way it makes me feel, but also in case I bump into another Girl Scout selling cookies, right? I'm ready. I walked out of the Bank of America one time up in Saratoga, California, where I used to live. Two little girls were selling candy right outside the bank. Good place. Some girls' organization they were working for, right? I come walking out of the bank, and this first little girl walks up to me and says, Mister, would you like to buy some candy? I said, I probably would. What kind is it? She said, it's almond roca. I said, my gosh, that's my favorite. She said, wonderful. I said, how much is it? She said, it's just $1.02. I thought, incredible. I said, how many boxes of that candy have you got? She said, 5. And her little friend, who was also selling candy, was standing there. I asked her, how many boxes have you got? She said, 4. I said, that's 9. I'll take them all. They said, really? I said, yeah, it's my favorite. I've got some friends. I'll pass them around. They got so excited, put all this candy together. I reached in my pocket, gave them the $1.18, and when I got the candy and they had the money, the first little girl looked up at me and said, Mister, you are really something. How about that? Can you imagine only spending $18 and having somebody look at you in the face and say, you are really something? Now you know why I carry plenty, right? I'm not going to miss any more opportunities. Let me give you 7 key points to the law of sowing and reaping. Here's part of the philosophy that really helped me to make some changes in life. Direction number 1, the law of sowing and reaping is negative. That's number 1, which simply means if you sow bad, you reap bad. Now this is kind of third grade, but it doesn't hurt to go over the basics. If you plant thistle seeds, you don't get pumpkins. Honest. No use looking for pumpkins. John says, how come no pumpkins? Come on, John, the law is negative, that's how come. Number 2 is the law is positive, which simply means if you sow good, you reap good. If you plant pumpkin seeds, you don't get thistles, not from pumpkin seeds. Mother Nature won't pull tricks on you, snicker in the corner, and push up new thistles when you planted pumpkin seeds. She won't do that. You will get pumpkins from pumpkin seeds. And the reason is because the law is positive. Now, here's number 3. I got excited when I found out the full dimension of this. See, you do not reap what you sow, but rather you always reap much more than what you sow. So the third key word is more. You don't get back what you put out. You get back much more than what you put out. And it works both positively and negatively. On the negative side, it said, if you sow to the wind, you reap the whirlwind. So you've got to get ready for that, or you will be naive. See, anybody can, whether you will or not. See, that's the question. And here's a good question to ask. We are all buying somebody's plan. The question is, who's got you talked into doing what you're doing? Who's got you talked into your present plan? See, 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The question is where. But see, anybody, if you want to, can go searching for a good plan, pick it, and start working it. And sure enough, as the time passes, as it surely will 5 years from now, 10 years from now, then you'll be winding up where and what you want to wear, driving what you want to drive, living where you want to live, becoming what you want to become. The fourth is expect more than you sow. This principle delves deeper into the concept that the outcomes of our actions often exceed the initial efforts we put in. It suggests that the law of sowing and reaping is not merely about a one-to-one correspondence between input and output. Instead, it posits that when we sow good deeds, positive attitudes, or productive habits, we tend to reap rewards that are greater in magnitude and scope. For instance, someone who consistently invests in personal growth, education, or community service might not only see personal improvement, but also unexpected opportunities, connections, and broader impacts on their environment. The next one is prepare for negative consequences. While the law of sowing and reaping offers promise for positive outcomes, it also serves as a cautionary principle. It underscores that negative actions or behaviors can lead to consequences that far exceed the initial wrongdoing. The metaphor, sowing to the wind and reaping the whirlwind, encapsulates this idea. It implies that reckless decisions, unethical behavior, or harmful actions can result in severe repercussions, affecting not only oneself but also others and the broader community. Therefore, the principle advises careful consideration of actions and their potential long-term effects. The sixth key is accept the possibility of loss. Despite one's best efforts and intentions, the law acknowledges the reality of unforeseen circumstances and uncontrollable events that can lead to loss or setbacks. For instance, consider the diligent farmer who diligently tends to his crop throughout the season, only to face a devastating hailstorm just before harvest. This unforeseen event causes significant damage, resulting in a substantial loss despite the farmer's hard work and dedication. This aspect of the law encourages resilience, adaptability, and preparation for adversity, recognizing that external factors beyond our control can influence outcomes. Finally, you must take action to reap. Central to the law of sowing and reaping is the fundamental principle that action precedes results. Without sowing seeds, whether literal crops, personal investments, relationships, or endeavors, there can be no expectation of reaping rewards or benefits. This principle emphasizes the importance of initiative, effort, and persistence in achieving desired outcomes. It encourages individuals to set goals, make deliberate choices, and take consistent actions aligned with those goals. Whether in personal development, career advancement, or community engagement, this principle underscores the necessity of proactive engagement and investment to yield positive outcomes. These key points elucidate the multifaceted nature of the law of sowing and reaping, illustrating its application across various aspects of life, from personal growth and ethical conduct to professional endeavors and societal contributions. By understanding and applying these principles thoughtfully, individuals can navigate their journeys with greater clarity, purpose, and resilience, striving for meaningful and sustainable outcomes in their pursuits. But now's the time to fix the next 10 years. Mr. Shoaff asked me when I first met him, "Mr. Rohn, how are you doing? You've been out there now 6 years." I said, "I'm not doing very well." He said, "I suggest you not do that anymore." What a simple, swift analysis to my situation. He said, "If you keep doing it, the next 6 years will be like the last 6. You don't want that to happen. Let's make the changes." The most successful and wealthy people all practice these habits on a daily routine, and adding these to your daily routine will contribute greatly to your success. Planning your day actually starts the day before. Set out what you want to accomplish before you even start your day. The last thing you do before coming home from work or retiring for the night is to plan your entire next day. When you plan your day the night before, your subconscious mind then goes to work on your plans and your goals while you are asleep. Sit down with a sheet of paper, notebook, or mobile device and put down everything that you need to do the coming day. Preparing your daily list the night before will clear your mind and enable you to sleep more soundly, which will increase your productivity throughout the day. Now, when it comes to making your daily to-do list, make sure that you're working from the 80-20th rule. If you have 10 items to do on your list, 2 of them will be more important than the other 8 put together. Now, there are 2 kinds of people to learn from. One is failures. It's too bad failures don't give seminars, right? That would be valuable. Have them tell you how they lost it all, threw away their health, threw away their friendships, and things didn't work out well. That would be valuable. But then, we must also learn from positive people that have done well. They've got the health. So we ask them, how did you become so healthy? They've got the skills. So we ask them, how did you become this skillful? They've got the income. So we ask them, how did you get here in such a short period of time? Now, here's what's important in personal development and learning from other people. We learn by observation. We learn what we see. We watch people that are successful in what they do. In sports, we watch their disciplines. In business, we watch their disciplines. We learn by what we hear, learn by listening. Listen to the sermon on Sunday morning, listen to the lectures, listen to the teacher, listen to someone who's got something good to say. Read all the books you can possibly read in your lifetime. Mr. Showoff got me started on my library. I've got one of the better libraries, and then I started keeping a journal. One of the major things my teacher taught me was to keep a journal. He said, don't trust your memory. If you hear something good, just make a little note and write it down. So I would suggest you do the same. Things that impress you. A poem that impresses you. When you attend a class, some of the ideas that impressed you, jot them down. You read something in a magazine, write some ideas, take those out, put them in your journal. Keep a good journal the rest of your life. This will serve you well. So I want the same thing to happen to you. Value captured that you can resort to later, go back over it and review it and let it become valuable to you. That's my first subject, personal development. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Develop the skills, learn the lessons, take the classes, absorb all that is being taught to you these days. And then later on, of course, you can sort out what's valuable to you and how to refine it for your business, for your life, and for your future. The main thing is to get it and start this process of personal change, personal development. And let me say it one more time. If you will change, everything will change for you. You'll never be the same. You'll keep growing. As you look back on a few months, look back on a few years, you won't believe the progress you can make economically, your relationship with your family, your friends, telling you that whole process of committing yourself for personal change, personal value can really make your life unique and worthwhile. And every single study in productivity shows that you will be far more productive in the 5 or 6 days that you work if you take 1 or 2 days off completely than you ever would be if you work straight through for 5 days. The same applies on a smaller scale in the hours of your day. Taking a small break will clear your head and should give you some fresh thoughts to sharpen your focus. However, don't get too comfortable taking too many breaks or welcoming distractions. Most people spend 50% of their time doing non-work related activities while they're at work. Break the time-wasting habits of browsing social media, checking email, taking long lunch breaks, and chatting with coworkers. Time is your scarcest resource. You must work smarter to preserve it in every way possible, and eliminating these time wasters will improve your time management skills and your quality of life. Look at every request for your time as time being taken away from the amount of time that you have to work and the time that you have left on earth. Since we cannot change the circumstances, but we can change ourselves, we can change what we do. Then he gave me another secret to success when he said, what you have at the moment, mister. John, you've attracted by the person you've become. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. Few little simple principles here once you understand these. Now sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace, taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else. Those transitions sometimes is a challenging mission, and this one was a little tough for me. He said, Mr. John, you've got pennies in your pocket, you've got nothing in the bank. The creditors are calling, you're behind on your promises. He says, here's how that occurs. You've attracted up until now, you've attracted the things to you because of the person you've become. He said, here's the secret, Mr. John. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He said, if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. If you would have known me at age 25, you would have known that I'm the guy. I don't mind coming a little bit early, staying a little bit late. I don't mind that. You'd have said, well, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. You say, well, how come he's got pennies in his pocket and nothing in the bank and behind on his promises? What I was, a hard worker, but I was working hard on my job, not on myself. I'm telling you, if you'll learn that simple little principle and start the process today, latest tomorrow, give you tonight to think it over and start this whole process of personal development, work on yourself, Make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, you can so dynamically change your income, and economics is the least of the values that you can start earning in terms of equity if you'll start working harder on yourself than you do on your jobs. Let the miracle of everything that's available work for you and start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy, work on your attitude, work on your personality, work on your language, work on the gift of communication, work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change. Spend your time like money. Even when you're not at work, your time is at least equal to an hourly rate. If a person or activity is asking you to donate your time, ask yourself, how important is this task to me? How much of my time and money am I willing to donate to it? If it's not important enough, you must discipline yourself not to do it. Just say no. You want to give any time to your priorities and the top 20% of your tasks first. Say no to requests for your time that don't move you forward or are not of high value. Ultimately, your top goal every day should be to get the highest return on your investment of mental, emotional, and physical energy. That's the key to working smarter. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue, chase, or run after. Success is something you've developed, something you become. You attract success. So the whole key to unlock all the treasures, whether it's economic treasures, spiritual treasures, financial, social, personal, every way you can possibly think of, is by your own personal development. Here it is. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. The major question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting here? The major question to ask on the job is, what am I becoming here? Not what am I getting, what am I becoming? So it's very important what you become, because what you become attracts. If you become cynical, you attract cynicism. What you become attracts. So this whole subject of personal development was so vitally important to me, it changed my life. I was a millionaire by age 31, and that was just the economic part of it. It took me 6 years from age 25 to age 31. It was unbelievable. Now, to get ideas, you need a constant study of finding out. Now, Mr. Schwab also said, when you find out something that works, put the information in your journal. Don't use your head for a filing cabinet. Put it in your journal so that you can do the next best thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Go over it. And if you repeat it, go over it. Over. Sure enough, someday, some mysterious day, the idea takes root, starts to grow, and shows up in your bank account and your dress and your personality and your lifestyle. But capture the ideas in your journal. Find out how things work. Mr. Schoff meant this for my life change. If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. If you wish to be wealthy, study wealth. Don't leave it to chance. Make it a study. Some people just go through the day with their fingers crossed. See, that won't do it. You've got to study the things that can change your economic, social, spiritual, personal life. My friends, now let's delve into the depths of procrastination. That insidious foe that holds us back from our dreams, our goals, our very potential. We'll explore the reasons why we procrastinate, the patterns we fall into, and the strategies we can employ to break free from this self-imposed prison. Procrastination, my friends, is not a character flaw or a sign of weakness. It's a common human experience, a tendency to delay or postpone tasks, often due to fear, overwhelm, or simply a lack of motivation. We've all been there, putting off that important work project, avoiding that dreaded phone call, or hitting the snooze button one too many times. But procrastination isn't just about laziness or time management issues. It's about a deeper disconnect between our intentions and our actions. We know what we should do, we want to do it, but somehow we just can't seem to get ourselves to do it. The fear of failure is an insidious foe that lurks in the shadows of our minds, whispering doubts, distorting perceptions, and hindering our progress. It's a universal human experience, a primal instinct that has served us well throughout our evolutionary journey, keeping us from harm and preventing us from making potentially disastrous mistakes. However, in the pursuit of our dreams, our aspirations, and our full potential, the fear of failure can become a formidable obstacle. A self-imposed barrier that prevents us from taking risks, stepping outside our comfort zones, and embracing the possibility of greatness. Today, we seek to understand the root of fear, to unravel the tangled threads of its origin, to identify the hidden forces that drive its relentless grip on our minds. Fear, my friends, is not a singular entity. It's a complex tapestry woven from the threads of our experiences, our beliefs, and our perceptions. It's a story we've been telling ourselves, a narrative that has shaped our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The roots of fear often lie in the fertile soil of our early experiences, where the seeds of self-doubt and insecurity were sown. Negative experiences, harsh criticism, rejection, or a lack of emotional support can leave indelible marks on our psyches, fostering a deep-seated fear of failure, disapproval, or inadequacy. These early experiences shape our core beliefs, the foundational assumptions that guide our thoughts, behaviors, and decisions. We may internalize messages that we are not good enough, that our worth is determined by our accomplishments, or that we are destined to stumble and fall. These limiting beliefs become the cornerstone of our fear, influencing our perceptions and dictating our choices. Fear can also be triggered by external factors, the looming deadlines, the performance anxieties, the social pressures that weigh heavily upon us. These external stressors activate our fear response, leading to a cascade of emotions, anxiety, avoidance, even physical symptoms. The impact of fear extends far beyond our emotional well-being, casting a long shadow over our physical health, our relationships, and our overall life satisfaction. When fear dictates our choices, we may avoid taking risks, pursuing our passions, or expressing our true selves. This self-imposed exile can lead to stagnation, regret, and a sense of unfulfilled potential. Overcoming fear is a journey of self-discovery, a process of unraveling the tangled threads of our beliefs, challenging the narratives that have held us captive, and cultivating a mindset of resilience and self-compassion. It's about recognizing the power of our thoughts, the impact of our beliefs, and the ability to reshape our perceptions. It's about understanding that fear is not a life sentence, but a habit we can break, a story we can rewrite. By understanding the roots of fear, we can begin to dismantle its hold on our lives. We can identify the specific triggers that activate our fear response, recognize the patterns of avoidance or self-sabotage, and challenge the negative beliefs that fuel our anxiety. With self-awareness and a willingness to confront our vulnerabilities, we can embark on a journey of personal growth, transforming fear from a debilitating obstacle into a catalyst for change and self-discovery. Remember, true courage lies not in the absence of fear, but in the willingness to face it, learn from it, and move forward with unwavering determination. For it is in the face of fear that we discover our true strength, our resilience, and the extraordinary potential that lies within each of us. It's a common human experience, a natural response to the demands and complexities of modern life. We juggle multiple roles, responsibilities, and expectations, each vying for our attention and energy. When these demands become overwhelming, our minds can shut down, our productivity plummets, and our ability to make decisions deteriorates. We may experience procrastination, avoidance, and a sense of being constantly behind. The roots of overwhelm often lie in our inability to manage our time effectively. We may lack clear goals, prioritize poorly, or struggle to say no to additional commitments. We may also be influenced by external factors such as unrealistic deadlines, constant interruptions, or a lack of control over our work environment. Overwhelm can manifest in various ways, from physical symptoms like fatigue, headaches, and muscle tension to emotional distress, anxiety, and irritability. It can hinder our ability to think clearly, make decisions, and connect with others. In our professional lives, overwhelm can lead to missed deadlines, decreased productivity, and a decline in the quality of our work. It can erode our confidence, damage our relationships with colleagues, and hinder our career advancement. In our personal lives, overwhelm can strain our relationships, disrupt our sleep patterns, and leave us feeling constantly drained and unfulfilled. It can prevent us from enjoying hobbies, pursuing our passions, and engaging in activities that bring us joy. Overcoming overwhelm requires a multifaceted approach, addressing both the underlying causes and the immediate symptoms. It involves setting clear goals, prioritizing tasks effectively, and managing our time efficiently. It also requires developing strategies for managing stress, asserting boundaries, and seeking support when needed. Motivation, my friends, is the lifeblood of success, the invisible force that transforms our dreams into reality. It is the catalyst that pushes us beyond our comfort zones, enabling us to overcome obstacles, persevere through setbacks, and achieve extraordinary feats. Yet motivation can be a capricious companion, often wavering in the face of challenges, distractions, and the inevitable ebbs and flows of life. We may find ourselves stuck in a rut, our enthusiasm waning, our goals fading into the background, replaced by a sense of inertia and apathy. The roots of motivation often lie in our core beliefs, the deep-seated convictions that shape our perception of ourselves and our potential. When we believe that we are capable, that our actions matter, and that we can achieve our goals, motivation naturally springs forth. However, when doubts creep in, when we question our abilities or believe that success is beyond our reach, motivation can dwindle, leaving us feeling disengaged and uninspired. Motivation can also be influenced by external factors such as a lack of direction, a sense of meaninglessness in our work, or a lack of connection to our goals. The impact of a lack of motivation extends far beyond our productivity and achievements. It permeates every aspect of our lives. It can lead to procrastination, avoidance, and a general sense of dissatisfaction. We may neglect our health, withdraw from our relationships, and lose sight of our passions and dreams. Overcoming the lack of motivation requires a multifaceted approach, addressing both the internal and external factors that contribute to our demotivation. It involves cultivating a growth mindset, establishing clear goals, and creating a supportive environment that fosters motivation and engagement. Motivation is not a fixed trait. It's a muscle that needs to be exercised regularly. By cultivating a growth mindset, setting meaningful goals, and creating a supportive environment, you can tap into the reservoir of motivation that lies within you. Unleash the spark within, ignite the fire of passion, and embark on a journey of purpose, fulfillment, and extraordinary achievement. Let motivation be the compass that guides you toward your dreams, the fuel that propels you toward success, and the driving force that transforms your life into an extraordinary masterpiece. Negative thoughts, my friends, are not merely fleeting mental chatter. They are powerful forces that can shape our beliefs, influence our decisions, and ultimately determine our destiny. They can be the architects of self-doubt, the catalysts for procrastination, and the barriers to our dreams. These negative thoughts often stem from our early experiences, from messages we've internalized from parents, teachers, or society at large. We may have been criticized for our mistakes, ridiculed for our imperfections, or told that we were not good enough. These experiences can leave indelible marks on our psyches, fostering a deep-seated belief that we are not worthy of success or happiness. Negative self-talk can manifest in various ways, from self-deprecation and self-criticism to catastrophizing and assuming the worst. We may constantly compare ourselves to others, focusing on their perceived strengths and our own perceived shortcomings. We may dwell on past mistakes, replaying them in our minds like a broken record. The impact of negative thoughts extends far beyond our emotional well-being. It affects our physical health, our relationships, and our overall life satisfaction. When we constantly bombard ourselves with negativity, we can experience stress, anxiety, and even physical symptoms like headaches, fatigue, and digestive issues. In relationships, negative thoughts can lead to distrust, insecurity, and a sense of worthlessness. We may withdraw from our loved ones, fearing rejection or criticism. We may sabotage our own happiness, subconsciously choosing partners or relationships that reinforce our negative beliefs. And perhaps most profoundly, negative thoughts can stifle our personal growth and prevent us from living fulfilling lives. They can keep us trapped in our comfort zones, afraid to take risks, pursue our passions, or express our true selves. We may settle for mediocrity, accepting less than we deserve because we believe we are not capable of achieving more. Overcoming negative thoughts is not about silencing our inner critic or suppressing our emotions. It's about developing a more balanced and empowering perspective. It's about recognizing the power of our thoughts, the impact of our beliefs, and the ability to reshape our perceptions. It's about understanding that negative thoughts are not always accurate reflections of reality. They are often distorted interpretations based on our past experiences and limiting beliefs. It's about learning to challenge these negative thoughts, to question their validity, and to replace them with more supportive and empowering ones. Self-reward, my friends, is not a mere indulgence or a fleeting pleasure. It is a powerful tool for motivation, a catalyst for growth, and an essential ingredient for achieving our goals. It is the act of acknowledging our accomplishments, appreciating our efforts, and reinforcing our commitment to our journey. When we reward ourselves for progress, we send a powerful message to our subconscious mind, reinforcing the positive behaviors that lead to success. We create a feedback loop, a cycle of action, recognition, and reward that fuels our motivation and keeps us moving forward. The roots of self-reward often lie in our early experiences. in the positive reinforcement we received as children for achieving milestones and reaching goals. These experiences shape our understanding of the value of hard work and the importance of celebrating our accomplishments. However, as we navigate the complexities of adulthood, we may lose sight of the importance of self-reward. We may get caught up in the relentless pursuit of goals, neglecting to acknowledge our progress along the way. We may fall into the trap of believing that only the final destination matters, disregarding the significance of each step we take. Self-reward can manifest in various ways, from small indulgences like a relaxing bath or a delicious treat to larger rewards like a weekend getaway or a new gadget. The key is to choose rewards that are meaningful to you, that align with your values and interests, and that genuinely bring you joy. The impact of self-reward extends far beyond the immediate moment of gratification. It has a profound effect on our overall motivation, engagement, and well-being. When we reward ourselves for progress, we boost our mood, increase our resilience, and enhance our ability to persevere through challenges. Self-reward can also strengthen our commitment to our goals, creating a positive association with the process of achieving them. It can help us break down large goals into smaller, more manageable steps, making the journey less daunting and more enjoyable. Remember, self-reward is not a sign of weakness or indulgence. It is a tool for empowerment, a strategy for success, and a celebration of the remarkable journey of personal growth. Embrace the power of self-reward, acknowledge your progress, and embark on a path of fulfillment, achievement, and extraordinary. Living action is more than physical movement. It's a reflection of our inner strength and commitment to our goals. Rooted in our core beliefs, action requires stepping out of comfort zones and embracing uncertainty. It manifests in small steps and bold decisions, transforming dreams into achievements and connecting us with opportunities and like-minded individuals. Effort complements action as the dedicated application of skills and resilience in pursuing our aspirations. It involves learning from setbacks, fostering growth, and contributing meaningfully to our lives and communities. Effort underscores that true success is a journey of continuous improvement, shaping our character and reinforcing our ability to adapt. Self-compassion emerges as the practice of treating ourselves with kindness, despite imperfections or setbacks. It counters self-criticism with understanding, fostering emotional well-being, stronger relationships, and acceptance of ourselves and others. Self-compassion liberates us from perfectionism, empowering us to pursue our dreams confidently. In conclusion, embracing action, effort, and self-compassion forms a holistic approach to personal growth and fulfillment. By stepping forward with determination, applying ourselves consistently, and treating ourselves with kindness, we unlock our potential and navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace. This journey leads not only to achieving goals, but also to a deeper sense of contentment and connection in our lives.